can you believe it is the first Friday night SmackDown after Backlash and the draft rosters are locked. What's going on? It's Wrestling Gang After Show for SmackDown today, May 10th, 2024. Of course, I am Flobo Boyce. I'm not Glenn Rubenstein. I'll be back here next week. But I'm being joined by some luminaries and some dignitaries here. First, got to get up for the man who's the genius behind the musical notes and theory when it makes it happen. Ask FTR about it. Matt Koon, how's it going, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. How's it going? I'm glad to be back on Wrestling Inc. with a brand new combination of three people. Like I've worked with both of you before, but never together. You never know what you're going to get on the Friday night show here at Wrestling Inc.
And it's kind of the wild card. Remember the wild card rule? But I'll be remiss if I don't mention the man who's a legend himself. My group watched the guy count shoulders and even strike for a couple weeks. We will talk about that sometimes. Give it up for the real Jimmy Korderas. What's up?
Yeah, you had to bring that up, didn't you?
Every time.
Hey, you forgot the only referee that I know of that has instituted instant replay into a match at the end of a match. Yeah.
Were you in that episode where like you distracted a referee to beat up other referees? Was that you? Or was that Jack Doan? I feel like there was one episode where that happened.
I think that was Jack Doan. It probably wasn't me because I was the scab referee, remember?
Right. Yeah, exactly. You're the evil one.
You know how that happened? That happened. It wasn't planned. It was clearly by accident.
Yeah, it was clearly by accident. You were getting married, I believe.
Yeah, I was getting married. I went on my honeymoon for 2 weeks. JR was gracious enough to say, hey, take your 2 weeks off. And when I got back, while I was away, they were running that angle where the referees were being abused and they went on strike. But I didn't know this because I wanted to stay married, so I wasn't watching any wrestling while I was on my honeymoon. And when I get back, I run into everybody, hey, and they're all kidding around. And run into Hunter, and he says, hey, Corduroy. He used to call me Corduroy. Hey, Corduroy, welcome back. Ha, ha, ha. How does it feel to be out of a job when you get back? And I said, I can't go on strike, Hunter. I've just got married. I can't afford to. And he laughed, and we both laughed. We went, ha, ha, ha. And then he went, come with me.
Right.
He took me over to JR and said, hey, Jimmy's got a great idea. And I said, I do? And that's when they put it all together, and I got my butt kicked.
I have to say, any woman that lets her man ref and rant daily is a keeper. That's just the way.
Well, that's my camera person. That's my audio tech and video tech.
Yeah, we have to give a shout out to everyone watching live on Facebook, on Twitch, on X, and on YouTube. Without you, this show isn't a thing. And even though I was getting some DMs saying I was terrible this week, it's okay. I love all the feedback. It shows you guys care about the product, right? Let's get right into it. We have some news stories going on. The top story for me this week is about figuring out the new schedule for WWE programming. This is the WWE After Show after all. We knew Raw was heading over to Netflix in January, and we knew SmackDown was going to be headed to USA in October. We finally got some clarity here. SmackDown's moving to USA in September, the second week of September, with that extension for Raw through the end of this year. So USA, for a minute now, is going to have both Raw and SmackDown between September and December. Matt, let me start with you. We got some clarity what's happening, the WWE schedule, and do you think SmackDown's going to stay on Friday nights?
Maybe. I think that's probably the best move, right? Because you have that brand awareness, you have the brand familiarity. I think the big story is whatever oversight led them to have that 3-month gap of no coverage led USA Network to have an incredible amount of leverage. And so they were able to get those 3 months for like $25 million, which to me and you is a lot of money. But for them, it's a deal. To get that 3 months for $25 million is a deal because they definitely had the leverage over WWE. WWE needed TV, and they were giving it to them, but they're not going to give them that top dollar for it.
Yeah, I can't blame them for that. It's good business. Jimmy, I remember when SmackDown Live had that Tuesday run. I can argue it was one of the best times having SmackDown Live in the early half of the week, but Friday night, Thursday night seems to be what it's more known for. What would you like to see as SmackDown has an opportunity for a new home if you think that's the case?
I think it's a good idea to keep it on Friday night. I agree with Matt on that one. It makes the most logical sense because fans are tuned in to Friday nights. They build their weekly schedule around Monday nights. If they're watching NXT Tuesday nights, they're familiar with AEW Wednesday nights. If you're going that far, TNA Thursdays and SmackDown on Fridays, then you got your PLEs and pay-per-views on the weekend. So they're programmed that way. And as far as the money goes, Matt, I agree with you. It is a little bit lower than what they would normally expect, but I think they're in such a great place right now. They can take the hit.
Oh yeah,
for the 3 months. I think with all the other stuff that's in play right now, which I think we're going to talk about it coming up. Yeah, I think that it's okay for them to get lowballed a little bit in this last quarter.
that SmackDown thing is the one that gives me the most pause, because like there was always a question mark, especially on PLE weekends now that most of them are Saturdays now, where would the SmackDown before be a live show in the place, especially if they're international, or would you tape beforehand? And so I would think if I'm WWE, I would probably say, hey, let's switch over SmackDown to the top half of the week. But you're right. I think Thursday night or Friday night's kind of more of a vibe as you go out and make things happen. So you get your wrestling on both half of the weekend.
And those back-to-back SmackDowns, especially on international, have turned into big moneymakers. So it would be a shame to throw that away for marginal differences in ratings.
Yeah.
And
Well,
if I may just for a second here, and
yes,
it also,
you may.
no, the reason I like it better on Fridays is because everybody wants to see this reincarnation of the Monday Night Wars. And I don't think it's a good idea to compete with any other opposing brands on the same night. Everybody should have their own night to do their own thing, concentrate on your own product, and try to make your night that night. And right now, SmackDown is Friday night, and it's associated with it for a long time. I think keep it that way makes the most sense. And for international tours, like you said, Matt, these people are on board. They can do big money 2 nights in a row in the same venue. Then they've got that one day to get back to the U.S. if that's their choice to get back to normal schedule on Monday Night Raw.
Look, I'm an old man, but can there ever be a war again in this world of DVRs and watching clips on YouTube? Like, is there still a thing? People want that still?
There are some people that still they're so I'm nostalgic as well. I remember those words being in it actually,
Right.
and being in the building when we're watching 2 television screens, the monitor from what's going on out in the ring and the TV screen to see what's going on in TBS world. So
Sure.
I know people love that idea and concept of having a rebirth of that kind of competition. But I think now the way people absorb it, like you said, in different forms and streaming platforms, I think it just makes more sense to have everybody have their own night and try and do the best they can and build their numbers up as best they can.
I'm with that. And so, Matt, you mentioned the idea about the big money makers. That kind of leads us to our next story. WWE is really had made waves back in 2018 when they made that massive deal to bring now what we call PLEs to Saudi Arabia, 2 of them a year, typically Crown Jewel and another one. So the idea of festivalizing is always great. Now these big events are kind of getting to be these massive things. But news broke out this week that the Kingdom actually wants the big heavy hitter PLEs. We're talking Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. Now, I know Crown Jewel is a WrestleMania equivalent event, but they actually want the WrestleMania and all the accoutrements that go along with it. Matt, walk me through this. Me that WWE does that. Can WrestleMania be in Saudi Arabia? Is it good for business? What do you think?
Well, I have mixed feelings about the whole Saudi Arabia thing to begin with. Like, it is a tremendous amount of money. It's an amount of money that changes WWE's bottom line. It impacts the WWE bottom line. That's how much money it is. And it is a thing where, they do use the WWE for marketing Saudi Arabia to the rest of the world and maybe presenting maybe an inaccurate picture of what's going on there with the rest of us. So, ethically, I'm against it. But as a business person, I can see that, if they're paying $50 million a show, what are they going to pay for Mania? They seem to have a lot of money over there. So never say no to money. Money can always work, and WWE's not going to take too big a hit PR-wise because they're so big and powerful right now.
Jimmy, thoughts about this? Getting the granddaddy of them all in Saudi Arabia. You on board?
I'm not really on board with it, only because if it stays planted in North America, like I'm assuming that Nick Khan said recently that he wants to keep the granddaddy of them all in North America, like Toronto is about as international as they're going to go or something like that. That makes perfect sense because it's your biggest core audience is in North America, and for them to travel overseas, and they may be more reluctant to go to a place like Saudi Arabia. They may want to go to, let's say, a France or somewhere like that. But this concept of running a stadium show 2 nights in a row and selling out the stadium both nights, as well as, you have SmackDown the night before where you sell the arena out in the same venue, not venue, but same city and all that sort of thing. It makes logical sense because all that income that comes in from outside of the home base, people travel from all over the world. When I was in Philly this past WrestleMania, I was meeting people from Amsterdam, people from England, and just running into people from all over the world.
Always.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And I don't know if they'd be as willing to travel to somewhere like Saudi Arabia as they would somewhere in North America, like a Las Vegas, where it's going to be next year.
Hey, Jimmy, side question, telling the point of this, but are you an autograph guy or a photo guy?
I have a great face for radio, they say. No, as far I like the photo thing. I like taking photos, especially, I don't know if people have paid attention to my social media. Even I was getting photos done this past WrestleMania with a lot of old friends. It was cool catching up, but I don't mind autographs every once in a while. That's cool. Are you talking about me getting them? Or
there's someone comes up to you like, oh my gosh, you Jimmy Korderas, like that's if someone.
Yeah, if someone asks, I'm wide open. Unless it's one of those convention deals, then you got to pay $20.
Wow, that's still a deal. That is still a deal, sir. Yeah. So I got to be honest with you. I'm kind of mixed, like you guys are on the prospect, but I understand where Saudi Arabia or the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is coming from, because they paid a premium at a time where international PLEs weren't a thing, and so now you're getting events everywhere. What's your selling point? There was a time where the only big event happened to be in your doors, but now Backlash France is happening. You got like the Elimination Chamber, which I went to your point. I traveled 16 hours to Sydney plus 5 to Perth to see professional wrestling because WWE's there. So I get the idea of them getting one, but the chat here has mixed feelings as well. Alicia A says, I don't think they should do WrestleMania in Saudi. And I do believe that Dylan Matthews, who also has the wrench, says they can have Royal Rumble, but Mania, hell no. What's the hierarchy there, Dylan? Why should that matter? What is one over the other? And Beer Money has an interesting proposition. Says, I vote do a Rumble in Saudi on Saturday with all men. Sunday do a PLE Rumble for the women in the US, which is definitely segregation. That's besides the point. It's just at least they have the breakthrough now where the women are competing. We're having a king and queen of the tournament in Saudi Arabia. So it is breaking down some barriers, I guess, to a certain degree, but at the same time, it's I don't think separating the men from the women like that is a good look optically.
And all the women get to dress up like Spider-Man, so it's kind of cool. It's kind of
or Iron Man, whatever.
Cover everything.
That is definitely a modesty thing over there in Saudi Arabia. But let's see how this one unfolds and develops. Like I said, like the money does talk ultimately, and best for business has been a mantra of WWE forever. But it is interesting if WrestleMania was in Saudi Arabia. I'm not saying it's against Saudi Arabia, but like England's been campaigning for that for like years. You know what I mean? Or other countries as well. So let's get into the festivities here at SmackDown.
If I can just address really quickly, Blue Chew in the chat room. Don't worry, Blue Chew. I eat very well. Mrs. Korderas takes care of me very well.
What's the house cuisine at your house? Is it Greek food? Is that too soon?
No, well, we get that sometimes, but my wife is a French Canadian Polish mix.
Oh,
so I get a smorgasbord of everything, and how I keep kind of in the 180, 185 wheelhouse. I have no idea.
Yeah, you probably have like 2 personal trainers, like one before dinner and one after.
No, I've cut down on the other stuff like the pop and chips and that sort of stuff. So I'm just eating the good stuff that she's making.
That's smart.
And I tend to cook a little bit myself.
Okay, chef and rants. I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah, from ref to chef. There you go.
All right, let's get into SmackDown because I want to know what kind of food he's eating. That's not the point of the show. GM Nick Aldis in the fattest tie knot I have seen in weeks comes out and says, hey, look, Cody's here. We have yourself your new challenger for the WWE Championship at King and Queen of the Ring. That's going to be a mouthful to say. And it's the Maverick Logan Paul, the United States Champion. Well, title has been done before. Notably last time with Seth Rollins against Cena, memory serves, a couple of years ago. But now, even though it's unofficial, it looks like these guys are going on a collision course. Matt saw it, liked it. I think it's cool. And it's also Logan Paul didn't mention Dusty Rhodes. You on board?
Yeah, I think Logan Paul is a great challenger. The Saudi shows are always they've done a better job this time of integrating it into the canon, into the lore, into the storyline. But previously, they'd be like in the middle of some kind of plot line, they'd be like, well, let's do our Saudi plot line, then we'll get back. Like it was very
Mansoor's out.
It was very disjointing and very, strange. But this seems better. It's fine. I think this is though a trial run for Logan. I think Logan is a top of the card guy, and he's going to have a top of the card feud with Cody Rhodes, and he might even get a top of the card title. But I think this is kind of a trial run to see how Logan does in that situation. I like it a lot more than the AJ Styles matchup. I think it's a good matchup for Cody.
Trial run for Logan Paul. You're talking like Billy Gunn and King of the Ring 99, like that kind of trial run, or something else.
Just to see, hey, is this something that might work? Is this maybe somebody that we should have Cody lose his title to? Like, this is a guy who has shown he can meet every challenge and exceed expectations. So I have no doubt that they're going to be doing big things with him, and this is just a little drop in the bucket.
Jimmy, it's not confirmed whether or not it's going to be for one title or two titles or a unification match. We don't know that quite yet. As someone who's in the ring for those kind of shenanigans, does it really change the stakes? Is that kind of an inflated thing when you have an opportunity to call a match that could have implications like merging lineages and titles?
Well, it's an interesting concept, the title versus title thing, but it almost elevates that U.S. championship that someone like a Cody, if you were, let's say, to make it a title versus title match, Nick Aldis, then you have the Universal Champion, WWE Universal Champion, also the U.S. Champion carrying both titles. It elevates that title as well. And not that Logan Paul's doing a terrible job. Like Matt said, this guy, for the amount of reps he's had in this business, he is just like shocking me with his in-ring work and his mic work. This guy just gets it. It's almost like he got it right out of the gate. And I don't know who's been working with him, but he's got it. So yeah, this could be a trial run. It wasn't expected for me. I was trying to figure out who would be the best contender in that transition stage until The Rock gets back or somebody like that, where they're going to make it a big deal for Cody. Logan, I thought tonight did a really good job hanging with him on the mic. And I think this is a good next step. And maybe it is a trial run for him, but this guy certainly ticks a lot of boxes, and the future is bright for this guy if he wants to stick with this. That's for sure.
Question for both of you guys. We were trying to talk about this in the IWC about the best celebrity wrestlers, right? You got like Pat McAfee, you got Bad Bunny, you even have Snooki, you know what I'm saying? But there's also a school of thought that says, hey, look, Logan's earned the right to not be considered a celebrity wrestler anymore. Matt, let me start with you. Thoughts about that? Is Logan in that top tier celebrity wrestler category? Is he just one of the guys at this point? What do you think?
He's number one celebrity. He's still a celebrity wrestler. If he's a bigger star for what he does outside the ring than inside the ring, maybe, and he still is, as far as Jimmy's saying, his skills, as far as his promos and everything, that dude has been doing it since he was a kid, putting himself over, making money just with his mouth, just talking, just selling himself, all those things. So wrestling, it's not that much different, as far as selling yourself. You got to sell the story, and he does that really well.
Really quickly, Matt, off that point, that's the problem with some of the people who come from the outside that are great talkers, like in the Hollywood and in the entertainment industry. They go into wrestling and they think, oh, I have to get into pro wrestling mode. No, you don't have to get into pro wrestling mode. I know a lot of the IWC guys hate this term, sports entertainment, but that's exactly what pro wrestling is. And, when you're true to yourself and you bring yourself out, your inner self, and amp it up to 12, that's the beauty of it. And that's what he's doing right now. He's doing, like you said, not exactly what he did on his social media platforms as a kid, but he's been able to translate that into the world of pro wrestling and, build on that in a different kind of way, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, I like that. Being yourself up to 12. But what if your personality sucks? Well, that's besides the point. putting it out there. AJ Styles has that match later on with Randy Orton. He was talking backstage. I realized he hates France. I said I disagree. AJ, that chant was really catchy. In fact, I was trying to learn French just to get that down. By the way, if you never spoke French in your life, it's difficult. I don't know how they do it. Je m'appelle Flobito. That's about it. Alicia Taylor got a nod in. She is her first time in the booth, I guess, or in the ring, excuse me, as our ring announcer, as Mike Rome gets a ticket to NXT Tuesday nights. And well, I like this for Alicia. I mean, she has been grinding, and hopefully this to be a good spot for her. And you can call a lot, but it did feel weird her not saying Chelsea Green like how Samantha Irvin does. Matt, what happens when your best friends get the promotion? What's it like being in the ring? Walk me through that, Alicia Taylor.
Well, I think she did great. And I think, I don't think Samantha Irving did her any disfavor by being so great and being so well received and really being so well talked about. Another female announcer up there, kind of a delivery that's not dissimilar. I think it's a great move.
Yeah, big voices. Jimmy,
Mhm.
thoughts
No,
about the new change?
no, I have no problem with it at all. I like it. I think that it works because the ring announcers are so important with getting the crowd riled up. It's not just announcing, and now on their way to the ring, here comes AJ Styles. They have to put some emphasis on it because they're counted upon to get the people pumped up as well as the entrance music does. Obviously, they're not going to get them as pumped up as the glass shattering or the gong or anything like that, but they do set the tone. And if they're amped up, then the crowd kinds of feeds off that.
I want to say that like I've been fortunate enough in my career to I won't say meet wrestlers because that sounds very fanboy, but I've been in the same space as wrestlers. I've talked to them, have conversations, and I've only been starstruck twice. But the first time was with Tony Chibble. I used to work backstage as a PA.
No,
I was like, and everyone says that they go, "Oh man, that guy!" But he was so I was like, that voice was so great because he was like he was like bored doing it, but he was good at being bored doing it. It was amazing.
Not if you had to ride in the car with him for hours upon end. Gee, I don't want to hear that voice. I'm kidding, Chimmel. I'm kidding. No, we had blast, man. He's a good dude, but he did his job right. And because of that announcement, everybody remembers the famous rated R superstar that he used to do.
True.
That started at the house shows because we used to have fun and do stuff we wouldn't ever do on TV. And that's where the King of Rooney, the Booker T Spinner-Rooney thing came about.
Yeah.
But Chimmel did that announcement for Edge one time at a house show, and he laughed. Edge laughed his butt off and said, "You're doing that on TV." He said, "No, I'm not going to do that with Vince there." He says, "No, you're doing it on TV." That's it. He did it on TV, and it stuck. Vince loved it.
Yeah, my favorites was when that one and how you would sound like with Jack Swagger would come on and be like the All-American American was pretty cool. but it's funny that you were saying that how the ring announcer, like from our whatever era you grew up in, if you were a Fink guy, if you were a Greg Hamilton guy, if you're a Mike Rome person, you really pinpoint what's going on. By Lillian Garcia, I can't believe Lillian Garcia is the voice of the whole Attitude Era, how they were in that zone. It's pretty cool. But let's get to our first matchup here today on SmackDown. It's Queen of the Ring qualifiers. The fact that the entire episode was King and Queen of the Ring qualifiers. It came at us thick and fast. And Nia Jax hits on Naomi, our first match of the evening. Naomi, I thought I would have bet the rent check on Naomi getting the dub, but Matt, it wasn't to be. The new draft pick, Nia Jax gets the dub here.
Well, they're not going to push Nia down the ladder right now. Nia is at a certain level, and that level is not first round loser of Queen of the Ring. It was a good match though. And Nia, like, I don't think she needed to lose weight. I think she her look and her size worked for her character, but she appears to be dropping a lot of pounds and is moving quickly. And I'm no longer worried that she's going to destroy her, and the career of anybody she's in the ring with. So I think that's a big improvement as well.
Definitely.
You put it like that, yeah. Oh, she's not gonna kill anybody. What improvement? All right.
It was dicey for a minute, Kairi Sane has never been the same.
Jimmy, thoughts about the matchup here? The fact that was Nia winning a surprise for you?
No, I don't think it was a surprise. I do think that Naomi does need a W coming up soon. She has, it's the old adage, you can get over without going over. Naomi is over with that crowd, but eventually you have to put some wins in the win column. And against Nia, I don't mind it because she looks strong against Nia Jax. And they got the crowd to bite on a couple of false finishes there where they went, oh, and they thought it was it. And nowadays that's challenging because everybody goes into it going, I know he's going to win. I think I know he's going to win. No, just sit back and relax. And I enjoyed the match. I thought they did really well. Both ladies deserve a tip of the hat.
Naomi as a character, not Trinity for two, but Naomi as a character frustrates me to no end. But I don't want to say why because they may clip it out out of context and they'd be like, "Well, he says he hates people." But I wonder what's going to be next for her. What we saw also in this matchup, Jim, if you catch it, it was the flash on screen, another QR code, another barcode. Was that what you were trying to allude to on that Twitter space?
Nope, that's not it.
Okay, we'll tell about the barcode first.
Well, the barcode is interesting. I didn't get to, I'm not fast enough to click those things, so I don't know.
I thought you were, man. You were.
No, are you kidding?
You're the genius here.
I'm too busy. I'm still on cable. What do you want? I haven't cut the cord yet. So. But I didn't think it was going to come up in that match. I thought it was going to come up elsewhere in the show. But I like the idea of putting those out there because I guess that's a new thing for people to get invested and go have their cameras out and they're ready to go when they see the screen going crazy and try to capture it. And someone does, somebody usually does. And I like the idea of this new version, hopefully done well, the homage to the Wyatt family. I just want it to, it's tough. It's dicey how they're going to get to that goal and make it not feel, I hate to say the word hokey, especially using that Uncle Howdy name. It's got to go. Please get rid of that name and do something, that pays it the proper tribute, not just,
You agree?
I mean, what is that? Like, and honestly, the Howdy thing wasn't super over anyway. Like, it was kind of weird at the time. Pay tribute to Bray. That's fine. I think it's great. But, man, I don't know. It's not something that excites me. I'm just saying what made Bray Wyatt exciting was Bray Wyatt. So, we'll see.
You don't like mysteries in your wrestling at all? White Hummer? No?
I've been watching. Who was in the White Hummer? I've been watching wrestling a long time. We know who lifted the briefcase. Who lifted the briefcase in that Money in the Bank in that ladder match years ago?
Oh, yeah.
We need mysteries that we see the end of. But I hope it's good. I hope it works for all the people involved. I hope people love it. But man, I don't know. Bray pulled off a lot of corny, hokey stuff because he was Bray. It wasn't like it was these brilliant plot lines or these brilliant storylines or these brilliant characterizations or Firefly Funhouse actually made sense. None of that happened. But he was good and could sell anything. And we'll see.
Quick question for you guys, if you don't mind. If they do it right with Bo Dallas, could he make a promo something to the extent of, yes, this is not only a tribute to my brother, but to show you that it runs in the family and I can be worse than he's ever been or something like that. But the challenge here is the people will probably take him as a babyface at first. And it's going to be hard to turn him into that scary heel because they're going to buy into everything he does.
This actually reminds me of that the AEW storyline with the Devil and MJF, where it would make sense logically and it's a complete story, but it'd be like so hollow. Like, well, all right, that's cool. Uncle Howdy, he's going through some stuff. That's fine. Sorry, Matt.
Oh, I was gonna say I think they have to do something to get Bo to rise above the character. I think Bo is a talent. He's been on TV forever, but, I think that could work, but it has to be something like that. It has to be, we're worse. It has to be. And, like you were saying about the Devil, it's got many, many possibilities to not do well.
Quickly, if I also, another thing, sorry, because.
Take your time, Jimmy Korderas.
Because you mentioned the thing I tweeted out earlier. Did we discuss the AJ Styles promo?
We could do it right now. We glossed over it, but something piqued your interest.
Or did you want to incorporate it into the match as well, or something?
No, you tell me right now.
Okay.
I'm done teasing.
So they did the interview backstage, and AJ Styles was standing in front of a loading cart, something that loaded equipment on it. Yeah. And there was something on the cart that I noticed, a letter and a number on that cart.
P1? 3.
No, the letters
E,
V, 1.
Help me out here. Electric vehicles.
Which character? It said there was a big white letters on this black card that said V1.
Oh, like Matt Hardy.
I'm just speculating because WWE doesn't throw things out there for just shiggles. You know what I mean? There's a reason behind everything's out there. And I found it a curious coincidence that would be there.
Shiggles sounds gross. Don't. Okay. What do you have? Some tacos? Yeah, he had some shiggles afterwards.
It's a Canadian thing.
That's kind of interesting because everyone wants to know because Matt Hardy is broken on Impact. And it's kind of like, where can he go next if that is the case?
Just a thought.
But the idea of references, real quick, we saw Nia Jax wearing a deep red color in her gear, which was the same color used by both Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. Is there thoughts about adding Nia Jax to the bloodline? It's a good idea to say it's not a thought. Is it a good idea if she would be the first and only female in the bloodline? What do you guys think? So I'm with you, Matt.
It's a great idea. It's a great idea to get Trinity involved too. It's a great idea to expand this bloodline idea. And I did not make the connection about the red and black. However, I did, as it is behind me, I did notice that was a weird color for her. Like I remember watching going, that's a different look. And that might have been why I noticed she lost weight, because she usually wears things maybe even styled a little differently. But yeah, that seems a distinct possibility now that you mention it, because that is not the color she uses, like anywhere close to them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I guess the chat's going hard about that.
Yeah.
We moved on, and we had another backstage promo with Baron Corbin, who's now officially on SmackDown, even though he was a free agent last year. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure if free agent contracts are more desirable or less desirable, but he's on SmackDown. So is Carmelo Hayes. They have themselves their match of their own, which we'll get to. But I love the fact that Baron Corbin is once again on SmackDown on a brand that sorely needs people in the mid card for some person like a LA Knight to tussle with. Jimmy, we're getting promos left and right in this episode. So we had the promos with Baron Corbin. Right after that, DIY. Thoughts about the hierarchy on SmackDown? Did they win the draft in your opinion?
Win the draft overall?
Yeah,
that's a tough call because not very many shifted brands, not very many talents did. So it was a lot of status quo, and it was a little bit of people changing sides. So as for who won the
yeah,
that's a tough one. Anybody got a coin I could flip here? It's pretty much it. I don't think there was a clear-cut winner. I honestly don't.
Fair enough. I love this thing from Mike Matthews. It's all in caps. Matt Koon, why are you not giving Uncle Hattie a real chance? I think he's great. I can't wait to hear his story. He's working really hard, really loud. Hey, it's just an opinion, man. I mean, I can't speak for you, Matt.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, what's the deal?
I get it. He's had so many memorable promos and matches and moments that it's hard to disrespect someone like that. But no, come on. I like Bo Dallas, but Uncle Howdy is a terrible name. It's worse than Big Bill. And they did, the last time we saw him, I think we saw a laughable thing at the end of a show where it's supposed to look like this big spot, and we could just tell nobody hit anybody, and it was, it's not like it's got momentum. It's completely on the back of Bray Wyatt. So I'm not disrespecting Bray Wyatt, but I don't know what the heck Uncle Howdy is.
I don't know either. That is something that the mass didn't really do it for me. But again, I'm willing to give it a chance because it's hopefully time to reboot. But we had ourselves the next qualifier. It was Baron Corbin. It was Carmelo Hayes. And Carmelo Hayes has a task ahead of him. After carrying NXT for over a year, instead of succeeding the last couple of months to Trick Williams, he has to reestablish himself as him. Carmelo Hayes is a big guy, but on SmackDown, he looks pretty undersized. And his first matchup in this new post-draft era was against the man himself, Baron Corbin. Matt, I'm going to start with you here. The match here was pretty entertaining. Baron Corbin tried as he might, didn't get the dub here. Carmelo Hayes did with the cradle. Are you going to buy stock in Carmelo Hayes on the blue brand?
Oh, is this for me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry about that. I don't know. Like, I want to like him. But he's got to figure out a way to differentiate himself. If you're going to be that size, it can be done, but you almost have to be Eddie Guerrero. Like, the smaller you are, the better you have to be to differentiate yourself on the main roster. Putting up Carmelo against someone the size of Baron Corbin, who is like a gigantic human being, also doesn't help. But you have to figure out a way to make Carmelo Hayes look as big as life as he did in NXT. And right now, I'm not seeing it, but I'm not saying the door's closed on it either.
Jimmy, they told me that the new era is saying all shapes and sizes has a chance. It's no longer the size of the Giants or the world of the Giants. But let's be man to man. We've seen some wrestling promotions, big and small, that relied on smaller talent, and they don't quite hit the same in the literal figurative sense. Can Carmelo Hayes find a way to really be that large in life character in the world of the Giants here in the main roster?
Well, it has been done before. We have Rey Mysterio and like Eddie Guerrero and talents like that, and they got over, but they got over with their characters. They didn't get over with what they did in the ring. And that's what he has to project now. He's coming off as this smarmy upstart coming up from the NXT brand to the main roster, thinking he knows it all and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I got this covered. You don't have to do any, you know what I mean? He's got that attitude, but he needs to portray that to the audience. I know it's cool to see this in the backstage segments and maybe in little video vignettes, but he has to come out to the ring and project that too. In an interview, live interview segment in the ring, a back and forth interaction with somebody out there for him to really connect with that audience. Because like you said, Matt, right now, it's cool to see it on TV, but for the live crowd there, you want to get that reaction. And the crowd watching at home feeds off that live crowd that they hear. Look what happened in France last week. I got shivers, and I'm perfectly happy sitting at home, but that was the one time since I left that I wish I was there live.
Oh, wow.
We're like, dude, man, I wish I was there. You got to get that crowd invested. And if he can do that while he's out there, then, he can be a made man.
So I agree with Alicia and I agree with you, Jimmy. Alicia says Mello was him, give him time. And it kind of reminds me, because for those who don't know, my background, fortunately or unfortunately, is from the stand-up comedy world. And there you tell jokes, but the idea of comedy is not so much to tell jokes, it's about to connect with an audience, whether how you feel, what frustrates you, what makes you upset, what you love, that sort of thing. You look at some comedians who do very, very well in comedy clubs because they're very limited sightlines, 100 and 200 guests there. It's a lot easier to make sure everyone's with you or on board. But when they make that transition to the night show or to the stadium shows, the arena shows, there is a bit of a disconnect. A lot of times we go, they're not as funny as I thought they were. And it could be the same quality. So it's not so much about me doubting Carmelo's ability. I would never do that. In fact, Carmelo came to me and said he liked what I was doing online. So I'm always a fan of Carmelo because I'm easily swayed. I just wonder if fans in Wilkes Barre, Pennsylvania are going to care as much we did when he was in Orlando. Just putting it out there. Hopefully I won't be proven wrong. You know what I mean? Backstage, however, we're moving on. Bayley was talking about seeing how Jade Cargill was going to go in the Queen of the Ring tournament. Piper took some umbrage to that. We got ourselves very, very quickly Jade Cargill against Piper Niven. Now, this one here was interesting because on paper, I thought it was going to be an easy time for the Storm. But Piper Niven really put up a bit of a fight. Two women on two different sides of the projection or trajectory sides of things. I want to see more from both, but this one was all about Jade. Jimmy, let me start with you. Thoughts about the match, thoughts about Jade Cargill and Piper Niven in this one.
Well, everybody looked good in this one. Jade Cargill surprised me with her ability to sell in this match. That was what shocked me more than anything because I wasn't expecting it. I thought it was going to be a dominating performance to get her over, but she got over with me for her ability to sell and sell her facial expressions as well along the way. And this is what she's been doing in NXT and getting reps in front of audiences. And that's why I think one of the reasons why they paired her with someone like a Bianca Belair, so she can feed off her ideas and that sort of thing and still show off her magic in the ring. That she looks like $1 million. Now she has to perform like it and talk like it. And she's going to get those reps in and she's going to get there. It's a nice first step. And for Piper Niven to have that much dominating offense against her, it helped her. It made her look like a real threat. Much in the way Nia Jax did without the win, unfortunately, but not unfortunately, but it did help her out in the eyes of the fans. That's for sure.
Yeah, Matt, Piper really did herself some justice here. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that was the match that WWE wanted to have. I don't know if I've ever seen a more well planned out career with more forethought than what they're doing with Jade. Everything they're doing is for a reason. This was the match to put her in with Piper, give her a little bit longer, a little bit bigger, and have her take some punishment. Like, this is all done by design. They are really, really detail-oriented on making sure that they bring along Jade in the right way because they know if they handle the situation correctly, the payoff could be huge. So Piper was great. She's always been a good wrestler, but most importantly, she did her job because we're all talking about how great Jade did.
Absolutely. Shout out to Mike Martin, the old gimmick award. Dylan Matthews says, this match between Piper and Jade shows performance center helps. And that's kind of a good thing because there really was an opportunity to rush Jade to TV and they saw they took their time. Maybe that's probably why. I was a bit taken aback there, Jimmy, to your point about the heat that the music insider terms, the damage that Jade Cargill took. But yeah, I'm with you. I think ultimately it's good for the long run. And before I get right into Bianca's match, we got a backstage promo by Shinsuke Nakamura. I forgot he got drafted to SmackDown. And Matt, you're the character guy. Help me out here. Shinsuke Nakamura is the king of strong style, but the past 2 years haven't been the greatest for him. I mean, he's been a threat. He's been a number one contender, but he's never quite won the big one. Watching Shinsuke this week, Mr. Koon, are you on board? Do you think there's a chance for Shinsuke Nakamura to be a guy on top, or is best days behind him, you think?
I think he's going to be a utility guy. He's going to do whatever they need him to do. And if, in fact, they catch themselves with some injuries and an emergency and they need somebody at the top for a pay-per-view cycle, I think he could do it. He showed he was up to the task with the Cody feud last year, which also was kind of out of the blue. I'm not convinced that Shinsuke is heading. It's too crowded over there, man. It's too crowded. But you can plug him in anywhere, and he'll be fine.
I mean, a third brand or fourth brand at this point. Jimmy, Nick Shinsuke Nakamura. You're going to sell your stock at him now? What's up?
No, he's going to be like the Dolph Ziggler, or in past generations, I would consider him somebody like a Tito Santana. There's a guy who could be your other level champion, like he could carry the Intercontinental Championship, but that's on the other brand. But you know what I'm saying? He's that kind of guy. He can do that, but I don't see him fitting in the top title picture at all. But he can. You need depth on the card from the bottom to the top. You know, the bottom, middle, and top, and you know he's going to be a solid player in the middle, unfortunately, and I think he's going to be there to help maybe others get elevated. Unfortunately for him.
Wow. You're going to put Shinsuke the king of strong style in the Natalia spot. How dare you, Jimmy?
Well, unfortunately, that's the role I see him in right now, because I like as far as the character aspect, I like the whole subtitle thing that he does for his promos and stuff like that. I thought they were going somewhere when they started that, and it kind of like petered out, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess that was the role they just see him in for some reason.
Those sort of things only work if you win, right? It reminds me of like the demon Finn Balor. It's like once you the Balor, once a demon starts losing, it's like, well, you can summon him all you want, but it's not really a thing.
Yeah, it's the conclusion to beat the devil, right? That you don't do that right out of the gate.
Right, exactly. Surprise, you know. In screenwriting class, I use that as a context. I don't want to get the show demonetized. They said if you're doing a strip scene, don't have the person come out naked. You have to. The tease is what the idea is.
And slowly peel it off, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean that completely in academic sense. YouTube,
yes,
please don't cancel.
Like an onion.
Yeah, like an onion. Yes, a vegetable. Yes. Yeah. Bianca, the other half of the women's tag team champions, and I know if George Hermosa was here, he'll probably tease me, because if you guys are long-term watchers of SmackDown, you know I wasn't a fan of putting Jade Cargill with Bianca, but hey, look, it's not what I want, it's what the people want. And so Bianca, the other half of the women's tag team champion, had her own match against Candice LeRae. Not sure if she's still a poison pixie, but I'm still going to call her that. And this one here was a bit more decisive. Bianca makes quick work of Mrs. Wrestling here tonight. She moves on. Of course, everyone is buzzing about the potential of Bianca and Jade. Matt, what do you think about this one? Bianca advances here tonight.
Bianca's great. Bianca is the number one woman in WWE right now, her and Rhea Ripley. I think they should keep Jade and Bianca together for a long time. You keep those title belts on Bianca and Jade. You put them on the Today Show. You give them the interviews. They are front and center. You got your Cody. You got your Icy guy. You got your women's tag team champions. And you get those two on every poster and doing every interview. Keep them together. Be patient with the breakup. We know it's going to happen, but let's be patient. Let's keep putting it off as long as we can, because these two together could be gold. They could headline house shows.
I suppose. I just Jimmy, help me out here, man. Bianca, recommend tonight.
No, dominating win as far as them facing each other. I hope they don't do it in this tournament. It's too soon. It's far too soon. And one thing WWE has been good at is they haven't been fast tracking things, at least not very much, at least. And in this generation where people want instant gratification as opposed to waiting for the long-term storytelling, one of my favorite movies of all time, I compare things to movies a lot, is The Godfather.
Oh wow!
And, like how long was that movie? And you were enthralled
2
in
days. 2 days.
Yeah. Then I was enthralled for the entire 2 days. You know what I mean? And now everybody wants Fast and Furious car crashes, trains hanging off of bridges, and somebody climbing up like,
To be fair, The Godfather had that. I'll watch that way more often.
No, but they did it when it was needed, when it was right, when it felt right, as opposed to every other scene. So
there's nothing that breaks up a 3-hour movie like a horse head.
Crap your pants. Majestic Marie says, be patient. So here's my problem with Bianca and Jade. Actually, Let me rephrase it, because again, I don't want this to go out of context and have people like troll me. I like them separately. I like them together. But the problem as it is right now is that the women's tag team division is the weakest division of all WWE. And I don't mean that by the people in the division. I mean, at any given episode, someone's number one contender. You could be hot shotted to be number one contender, and that does not make a strong division. So I don't value those titles. Now, if I had the book, as they say, yes, I would take some time to have really hardcore 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then have Bianca and Jade on top of the division. But right now they have props, and I go, I want to cheer for them, and I am today. But it's like, what does it really mean? So I'm with it. I'm not a hater. I'm just saying it's a division more than anything else.
I got your pencil right here, Flobo.
I will run it to the ground.
And I think that's what I'm saying is that, the women are going to make the title. If they want these titles to be worth something, keep them on these two ladies, because they can make these titles important, and they can be crossover media people. Like they can get bust out of the wrestling bubble. These two, they're extremely likable in every possible way and extremely compelling. Great role models for girls. A great way to get kids involved in wrestling. Keep the titles on them. Put them on every magazine cover.
Did you see them at the press conference after the pay-per-view together?
They were great.
They were awesome. They were, so, like you said, so likable, so genuine, so real. It's kind of like almost like a Cody thing on the women's division. Someone who is very likable, especially with the audience, and the kids gravitate towards that too. It's not just the older crowd. So that's great. Good call.
Hey, Jim, you're an old school guy. Do you like the fact they have separate entrances at all, or it doesn't matter to you?
No, I'm okay with that, because that makes them both look like stars that come together.
Fair. Sorry, I cut you off, Matt.
For a common goal.
I cut you off, Matt. You were saying something?
Oh, no, I'm good. I have nothing of importance to say.
Good night, everybody. See you next week.
On that note,
that hasn't really stopped me before, but I'm gonna let it stop me right now.
Okay. We got a little bit of shenanigans backstage with the Bloodline, and basically Solo is the guy. He's calling the shots now. We saw that in that next matchup, another qualifying match. It was Tama Tonga, or the MFT, against not Bobby Lashley, as announced by Nick Aldis, but Angelo Dawkins of the Street Profits, the next man up. This one here is actually one of the more entertaining ones for me, because I kind of knew what the result was going to be at the end of it, but how it went down. Montez Ford found a way to be clever. We had a little bit the numbers game in there, but after it all, we had Tama Tonga advancing in the King of the Ring tournament. Everyone talks about Montez Ford being the number one guy, the guy going the solo run, but I think Angelo Dawkins acquitted himself pretty well here.
Been
Matt,
saying.
walk me through this one.
Yeah, been saying. I've said it for years. Montez Ford is the very obvious Jeff Hardy of this tag team. But Angelo Dawkins has improved every aspect of his game every single year, and he's been there a long time. I think he's the best hot tag in wrestling. I think he's super underrated, and probably, now that Chad Gable's getting his due, maybe the most underrated person in wrestling right now. He's great.
Wow.
If you saw the way the fans were on their feet, I mean, he's always like that. He's an underrated reason of why the Street Profits are so great. Montez Ford is great too. The act is good, but Angelo Dawkins could be a big single star.
Wow. High praise. But so Jimmy, asking about the Angelo Dawkins thing for sure. He did head coach well, but also the Grills of Destiny. I mean, they seem to be kind of growing. They're kind of being like this little sub faction, but inside the Bloodline, the numbers game is there. The new Bloodline's taking shape. They're also wearing the red and black. What do you think?
Yeah, it's very interesting. As quickly about Angelo Dawkins, I think you're right. This guy's got it, and he has had it for a while. A little underappreciated, almost. Not to the extent of Marty Jannetty that went nowhere. This is a guy that can go somewhere. He's got the talent. And one of the hardest things to do is in a match where you say, sounds so predictable going into it, it's hard to get the people invested. And they did exactly that, which is great. That's the big tall tale sign that this guy's got something. And as far as the new bloodline, or is it the old bloodline reformed? And they were talking in the back before the match when Solo said he lost our championship. And when Roman Reigns returns, I will be the leader of the bloodline. He drew the battle lines right there. Right. Wow. So now we know what to expect. And of course, Paul Heyman, just a master job being the guy who's afraid of these guys to death. And when he pulled him in and hugged him and said, you know what, You're the wise man. I love you, but you're going to be my wise man from now on. And this is like Solo is starting to find himself as well.
Absolutely. Here's another person that I had my old man chicks at cloud reservations, because when Solo debuted in NXT, I was left alone to fight for myself on the island. So I thought they would be instantly antagonists, but he got up, got big part of the bloodline. Now he's he was also holding the torch for a year because Roman wasn't wrestling every week, but now he's the guy until Roman comes back. So props to that. Yeah, Bobby Lashley. I hope he's okay if it's legitimate, the injury. Because he's ageless. That guy's been wrestling for like 30 years, man. It's crazy.
Between him and Billy Gunn, I don't know who
Yeah.
Except Bobby Lashley does not have a wrinkle.
Yes.
A solitary wrinkle. I am not that much older than Bobby Lashley. I have so many wrinkles. He has no wrinkles at all. He looks like a baby. He looks like he was just born, like a super jacked baby. Like he hasn't aged a day since the day he was born. He's just gotten bigger.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if I could age that gracefully, that'd be a great thing. Blair Davenport also coming soon. The terror of the NXT parking lot is coming to the main roster, so I can't wait for that.
At least we got a vignette to show her to the audience that may not be familiar with her. At least we got that.
So I'm going to stop the bus here, and I know I kind of do that a lot on the show, and I apologize. But hey, look, Glenn's out here, so.
Glenn's not exactly the greatest bus mover in the world.
I'm a huge NXT UK fan, and I love Blair Davenport as being just like the high priestess villain in NXT UK. I was willing to accept Blair Davenport as a street fighting champ of Orlando over there in NXT, but I do think there has to be something brand new and fresh. You cannot bring any of these personas up to SmackDown and be set up for success. She can do it, but I don't think it's going to get her those dubs. And so I see her vignette today. I want her to do well. I'm not so sure about the prospects. Matt, what do you think?
I didn't see anything because I don't know her. I don't watch NXT, so I don't know her very much. I didn't see anything to me that made me go, "Oh, I need to see this wrestler." So I didn't see that. I said, "Well, she's got dark hair, so that means she's probably like kind of dark." She's got a knee that she does. That's all I saw. I do want to say that it's interesting. All these people crying about people wanting vignettes. They did vignettes for DIY and Andrade today. They're not taking their audience for granted. They're saying, hey, let's get you excited about this person. Let's remind you who this person is. So not only do we might need vignettes for people we don't know about, but it's not a bad idea to keep reminding people who is out there. And it doesn't mean we don't Google people. It just means that, hey, WWE's making that effort to bring you in and connect you with these people.
Like Veer Mahan, right? For a whole year. He's coming.
Who?
And then oh my God.
Veer,
sorry.
Veer never came.
Yeah. He showed up, but never came.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right.
He appeared as part of the tag team like months later, and no one cared. And it was like, oh, well, that's months of vignettes. I bet Vince is at home shaking his fist, going, if they only knew what I had in Veer.
I mean, he was $1 million arm, right? Literally.
Yeah,
so
true.
Vignettes are a crazy thing because sometimes if they're done well, they get you hyped for things. Like I always tell people, to me, the best vignette versus career, not to disparage anybody, but when I was a kid, the first time I saw Nathan Jones's vignettes, I was legit scared. I was going to school like a guy from Australian jail is coming to wrestle on Friday nights. Wow. You know what I mean? It's very, very important, but at the same time, you can't just tease me forever. So I look at DIY and I go, hey, look, NXT was great for you. Wasn't great on Raw. I really want to see you do well, but am I getting enough in these things? Jimmy?
Right. Well, yeah, I understand that, but he's not the first person to enter the WWE/F out of jail. Remember Nails?
Yeah, a little. Yeah, I was a little younger then.
Yeah,
Ollie man is scared. Yeah,
you were just a youngin. So, but I'm fine with these vignettes. But as far as if someone is not familiar, like Blair Davenport, might not be familiar to the main audience, don't just give us one vignette and then send her out there. Let's see a couple of weeks of this. It only takes 30 seconds of your TV time. That's all.
Right.
That's all he's needed. You don't have to go on these big, long production deals. Just 30 seconds so people get acclimated and give us something that will make people go, this is someone I have to see. I can't wait till she debuts.
Yeah.
Hey, Jimmy, were you there when Nathan Jones quit and just left?
I was there, but I wasn't at that particular one when he just quit.
He just
I just heard about it afterwards.
Flobo was like, they just like toured Australia, and he's just like, I'm good. See you later.
I'm not coming back.
Deuces. And he just left. He just left. He just said, Howdy's gone. Yeah.
Everybody on the charter was going, hey, is Nathan coming? He's late. No, let's go. Fire up the jet.
Wow.
Is that funny? He's like, I'll stay with WWE until they get to Australia, then I'll just get off and
I get home for a free flight home.
It's not trolley. What the heck was going on? It's my stop. Ding, ling. Wow. Let's get to our main event here because this one had, I guess it was a pay-per-view at some point, but it was a banger and a half. Randy Orton, fresh off his Backlash introduction, I think the American audiences took to heart when he said the French audiences were superior and chanting his song because that actually got some action there. And AJ Styles, a man a little bit possessed after taking the loss in France as well, wanted to make sure that he had an opportunity to show out there and advance in the King of the Ring tournament. AJ, this no good, very bad, terrible week, month, year continues. Jimmy Korderas, what's going on with the phenomenal one?
He's doing what he does best is he makes people look like superstars while being a superstar in the process. This match, I talk about goosebumps in France watching this one on TV. I got goosebumps watching these guys, and I tweeted it out earlier tonight. Randy Orton is the most complete wrestler on the planet today, bar none.
Still?
You can argue all you want. For 20 years he has been, but tonight he showed why. It's all these little things that he does, the way he sells, the way he does his facial expressions, the way his offense means something. Everything he does in the ring means something. It's psychology. It's just everything. The little false finish where AJ looked like it was over with the phenomenal forearm, where AJ hooked his leg, pulled in his arm, and you go, oh, but then he had the other arm free to catch. Little minute things like that tell great stories. And then that RKO out of nowhere when he was going for the Styles Clash, perfect. I thought this match was, if you're going to pick a match of the week, I think this is definitely at least 1A or B.
Okay, can I push back just quickly on that?
Sure.
If that's the case, riddle me this, and I agree with you. So I'm just doing this for the conflict of the show. Why is it for a good 10-year period people called him Randy Borton?
I wish I could tell you because I've always been a fan of Randy Orton. His little even in the promo he cut in the back where he was talking about AJ Styles in a glowing terms, but then he flipped that switch when he started talking about Tama Tonga. And you saw that Jake the Snake Roberts-esque style come out of him. He didn't scream and yell, but that intensity level was amped up big time. And he shooting daggers out of his eyes. You felt him. You felt him come through your screen. And that's what's the beauty of him. And he's always been like that. It's just for some reason, I don't know whether it's the fact that people thought that he was entitled because of who his dad was or whatever the case may be. But he's always been, one of the best performers on the planet overall, bar none.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the match.
See, I think the thing with the Orton thing is that a lot of us fans don't necessarily get it. Like we go, okay, he's great, he's fun. I'm never disappointed when he's on the ring. I don't think he's the best. But people in the industry always say he's the best. So it's like when I go to a restaurant, I'm going to order the food, I'm going to eat the food, and I'm going to say the food's good or not. But someone who understands the restaurant business might walk in, look at the kitchen and go, dude, look how that's set up, and look where the chef is, and look at this and look at that. What I hear about Randy is stuff that I would never notice, that Jimmy would, like Randy's always in the right spot. Randy's always making the people look good. Randy's never late to anything. Randy takes his time. All those things you teach everybody, they look at a Randy Orton and they say, it can't be taught better than that. It can't be done better than that. So even though as a fan, we might not appreciate it like a meal, we should listen to these people in the industry because they all say that about Randy Orton. Everybody says about Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Well, if I could, just one minute thing. It was interesting because we go back to France, for example, and they had that match that turned into a street brawl, no DQ, no count out deal. Little things he did where he grabs Solo and he headbutts him. and he sells the headbutt.
Yeah.
And when he goes down on sometimes when he sells little things, like with Logan Paul that time with the knockout punch with the knuckles, he didn't flat back. He crumbled.
Mm-hmm.
It's just those little things, and you go, that's what would happen if somebody got hit with knuckle dusters. You know what I mean? It just looks so authentic and so genuine, thinking that's probably how I would fall. It's almost, getting off topic here, it's almost like I take referee bumps when I look at them. A referee should not bump like one of the boys, because then he looks like he's trained to do it. It should look awkward. It's hard to do where you land in a different way than the boys and still protect yourself at the same time. But it drives me nuts when I see somebody do this flat back, and that's why with Randy Orton, everything he does is meaningful. The little things, everything. It's just, I can't say any more about it. It's just so good.
I would say that if I have to do word association, I think the way you sold growing up was like surreal. I was like, he damn near killed him. Like you would throw yourself outside the ring half the time in your heyday, man.
No, I wouldn't throw myself out. I had a little help.
Fair enough.
One of the things I didn't like doing was looking at it coming, because my natural reaction would be to flinch.
Right.
And if I see it coming, I'm afraid that I'll do the old and I just say, I'll take one for the team.
I once talked to Frank Mir about that, about wrestling as opposed to UFC fighting. He's like, I don't know if I can do it, man. He was training with Austin Aries at the time, and he's like, I don't know. It is so hard to not flinch, to not react after doing this my whole life, you know. The one thing I want to say about the matches, it's interested to see, like, every week how much weight AJ Styles is going to put on, because right now I think he's about at his maximum. He looks like Willie from The Simpsons when he pulls off his shirt. You know what I'm talking about? So the next thing, I don't know what that next level is. Maybe it is like, I don't know, maybe Hogan level, because AJ is as big as he ever needs to be. He is reminiscent. I'm just saying, he is reminiscent of a Benoit. He is reminiscent of Eddie Guerrero right now. And it is enough. You don't need to get bigger, buddy, because you're going to tear something. I don't want him to tear something, but dude is huge.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess I didn't really, I mean, I knew he was shredded, but I guess I never thought about the actual size versus what he was doing. But yeah, it's true, because this moveset's taking a hit for it.
I mean, he's not a big guy, like he's like 5'9", 5'10", and he was already carrying a lot of weight. But now, man, I'm telling you, he's probably at least a good 30 pounds heavier than he was a year ago.
Yeah. Well, as we have the first round on the SmackDown side done, and Raw as well, let's just put it out there. I know it's too early to predict who thinks going to win the whole thing, but can Randy Orton go all the way? Does he even want to go all the way? Do you think that Randy Orton has a chance? Starting with you, Matt.
I think the King of the Ring winner is someone who does not, who needs it, usually. It helps them in some way. It helps them,
Xavier Woods?
Get to traditionally, not the last few years, but what Hunter's going to do. So I would look, I don't know who's going to win it. I don't have a call on it, but it's going to be someone who doesn't have a title, and it's going to be someone who is not Randy Orton, who needs a legacy more than they have a legacy.
Who will apply there? Now, Baron Corbin's already won. Carmelo's too new. Interesting.
The obvious choice, I think, is a Gunther, possibly.
King Gunther. I love
King Gunther, yeah.
So, Jimmy, do you want to even weigh in here? You just picked Gunther here, but seeing the SmackDown side of it, if Randy or an older veteran were to win this one, would that put some prestige on something that really desperately needs it? I feel King of the Ring really hasn't hit hard the last one, and I still maintain the last one in Saudi Arabia was hands down one of the worst ones I've ever seen, with Xavier Woods beating Finn Balor for the final. Is there a way to save it for a new generation?
Yeah, it's tough though, because obviously, like you said, someone like with the prestige of a Randy Orton will elevate that King of the Ring championship or title or crown or whatever it is, and make it feel more important. But the challenge here also is to find if there's someone other that you want to elevate that could do both. Maybe an LA Knight, maybe something like I'm trying to think of somebody on the SmackDown brand.
Yeah,
maybe
those
it is
are
somebody
the
from the
exact kind of people that need that King of the Ring, is an LA Knight or a Gunther, right?
Yeah,
but
I believe so.
But fellas, I mean, really, what does being a King of the Ring mean? You don't go to SummerSlam with the number one contendership. You don't get to have a crown and cut a promo. The last couple ones, you just gotta win.
Hey,
King Nakamura, King Baron Corbin.
It worked for King Booker.
That was 20 years ago or
I
15
know.
years ago.
Yeah,
I
hey,
heard-
old school can still work.
I saw your question, Flobo, on Twitter, and about what do they win for being the Saudi King of the Ring. And I think, first of all, as I told
Saudi
you, they get a year of free gas.
Oh, please! I'm entering the tournament then.
That's not even the best thing. The best thing is you get to get home safely,
Oh wow.
and also your head gets to come with you. So
That is all.
it's kind of a big deal. Like, I'm not saying your head doesn't go with you if you don't win the King
Yeah,
of the Ring, but
that's
if
what
you
it sounds
do
like.
win the King of the Ring, your head is definitely coming with you back home.
That is definitely the late 90s, like heavy metal, like promotions. You know, everything was all like a hard rock thing, you know, Hell in the Cell with the blood and everything.
You get to go back on the private jet. You don't have to sit on the plane with the rest of the talent for a day and a half worried that you're going to lose your life.
Well-
That's what happens if you win the King of the Ring.
In kayfabe, I ask, like, why would I enter in kayfabe? Why would I say, you know what, I'm gonna go and try to fight 10 people on 2 brands? Like, what's in it for me?
Prestige, I guess, right? Prestige.
Yeah.
Because in this King of the Ring, if we're being honest, they really it's not as many preliminary people. There's more serious people in this King of the Ring than we've seen the last couple of years.
Right.
That's fair.
I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just jaded. I saw 2021. Well, back then it was Queen's.
I'm making beheading jokes over here, so like I don't think you're quite as jaded as I am.
But I see Queen Zelina become Queen's Crown, and then I go instantly 2 years later, where she like loses in front of her hometown in Puerto Rico, or you know what I mean? Or I look at King Woods with the new theme song, and then getting his crown crushed, or Baron Corbin getting his crown stolen by Nakamura. I'm just like, what are we doing?
You know, it was a great thing at first because it's basically being used as is now. You know, they used to lure Harley Racing to say, Harley, you're going to be the king of wrestling. You come in, you'll be the king of wrestling. And so that's kind of what they're going for now is, you know, to have someone who's not a title holder, but has some prestige. Gunther fits the bill and is a good way. I love Jimmy's idea of LA Knight because that's the perfect place for LA Knight to be.
And it works perfectly being on the brand that he's on too, having Damian Priest, who's still a heel. I don't know if maybe down the road that we see maybe a transformation in him as well. Talk about people who have upped their game. I know we talk about, a lot of people are talking about Gunther, but if he's going to be King of the Ring, then I wouldn't put him in a title picture right away and just say, you know what? You keep your championship belt because you wear it around your waist and I wear the crown up top and that makes me better than you, or something along those lines.
Oh yeah, I'm with that. Remember when Sheamus won it? I'm the High King. All right, so that's about time we get out of here.
And
Jimmy,
don't forget that Tama Tonga's father was a king.
King Haku.
King Haku.
Now, this is kind of a flipple fact here, but it's one of the few times where I prefer the WCW gimmick over the WWE one. Meng was like hardcore. Yeah.
King Haku did that to me. That made that finger.
At a Waffle House?
What?
Jimmy is showing a very broken finger to us.
Well, it's not. Well, it just deformed now. But anyway.
It don't look great. It don't.
No,
look,
it doesn't.
It was a tag match. Him and Sika, of all people, and he came in to break up a pinfall attempt, and he stomped on it by accident when he planted his left foot.
By accident?
Well, I don't think he was, because he was apologizing, and I went, Haku's apologizing? Dude, you don't have to apologize to me. Step on my hand. I don't care. Step on my head. I'm not going to, you ain't going to get any bad feedback from me. Other than,
absolutely.
No worries. I got it. Put a little tape, tape it to the ring finger, and we're good to go.
Nicest, most affable guy you could.
Yes. Until you just didn't leave him alone.
He's probably like Luke Cage, like diamond in for skin. Like you're just like, oops, I'm sorry.
Here's the type of guy he is. He's such, like you said, Matt, he's the coolest guy on earth. Really, really big-hearted guy. But if guys would mess with him outside the world of wrestling, or whether we were at the bar having a pops or something like this, he would actually look, dude, I'm here having drinks with my friends. Back off, take it easy. I'm here, And if they come back a second time, he'll give them a second warning even, and say, look, I told you once before, leave me alone. I'm here with my friends. I'm here to have a good time. You keep bothering me. This is not going to end well for you. And I saw it one time. And the guy came back a third time. And before he could even finish his sentence, he was on the ground.
Wow.
And then once he was done, went back, sat down and went.
And that was not by accident.
And just finished his pop. Soda, daddy soda. Is that what McGregor calls them? Daddy sodas.
Oh, those kind of pops. Got it.
Yes. Yeah.
Jimmy, what else is on your notes here before we wrap this up?
Well, I like SmackDown tonight. I thought it was a great, solid episode, and it furthered the story of King of the Ring and stuff like that. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. And they topped it off with a hell of a match. It was good. And is this the time where I plug all my stuff now?
Oh, we can, but I want to get Matt's review
Matt's,
quick. So SmackDown's in the books, man. I know you love King of the Ring, but thoughts about today's episode?
It's fine. Like, WWE had so much momentum coming out of Mania, and I think they've squandered the momentum. Now, I don't think they've squandered the level they're on. They're on a level of where they're making a lot of money. It's not going down anytime soon. But you had this transcendent champion, Cody Rhodes. You put him up against the winner of a bunch of three-ways, and now you have your entire Raw and SmackDowns being taken up by these King of the Ring matches. I'm not loving it. It was not unentertaining, though. I've seen worse wrestling, but I think they're doing a little laurel resting, and they're taking the fans a little bit for granted right now while they're kind of gearing up for SummerSlam and just kind of in the holding pattern right now.
Oof, SummerSlam. Remember that used to be a big pay-per-view people cared about? I'm sorry, I'm a big SummerSlam guy. The fact that pay-per-view or PLE is kind of like an afterthought, the big four, breaks my heart every year.
Those Brooklyn ones were awesome, man.
Yes!
Man, I went to all of them. They were so good.
I went to 18? It was 18 or 17? The one that was Demon versus Baron Corbin. I was that one, 18, I think. That was pretty awesome. At the point. If anyone's watching now, streaming now, we have a lot of things we talked about in today's episode. Let us know how you feel about having a Saturday WrestleMania. Let us know how you feel about the King of the Ring tournament. And, of course, the women's tag team divisions. You guys make this job super easy, man, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. George, we're going to be here next week. Matt, if someone want to follow you, connect with you, just see if you can do my theme song, how to go about doing that.
Well, good luck on that. You can reach me at Matt Koon Music.
I tried,
MATTKOON Music on Twitter. I'm usually friendly, but sometimes not. Find out. Jimmy's the same way. So
very haku of you. Yes.
No, I'm a little different. I do it to amuse myself, and people don't get that. So I just have a little fun. They think I have thin skin, bro. I've been in this business for a long time. My skin's pretty thick. Don't trust me. You're not going to get under mine. I've been labeled. Hold on, I've been labeled a WWE show. I'm still waiting for my check from Stanford, but I guess it's in the mail.
That. Yeah, everyone says it. I've been chilling for years, and my white skin super thin. If somebody wanted to see your stuff, man, Ref and Rants and all that jazz, how to go about doing that, my friend?
They're lucky. Try doing it to Brian Hebner, my partner on Roughing It Up. You see what happens.
Yeah. Jimmy, plug your stuff.
Oh, you can catch me here on Monday nights after Raw with Triple J usually, and then Wednesday nights after Dynamite. On reviewing that as well, and every once in a while, pinch hitting here on a Sunday, Saturday, Friday night every.
It's Friday night,
confused. It's Friday night. It's Friday night. Yeah, just having a lot of fun tonight, guys. I enjoyed sitting in with you guys. I had a blast, and of course, you can catch the Roughing It Up podcast with my good brother in stripes, Brian Hebner, and I. Last week, Devon Dudley was supposed to join us, one half of arguably one of the greatest tag teams of all time, the Hall of Famer. But unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, he could not join us. So we winged it, which was pretty good. You didn't get Devon, but you got JK and the Sunshine Band and a little karaoke. So if you want, you can check that out. And, my Rough and Rants from Monday to Friday every morning, on all my social media platforms, little critiques to what I hope tightens some screws that I think need to be tightened, and all the opinions there of me and me alone. And we can respectfully disagree. And if you want to be one of those guys, hey, bring it.
Sure. Oh snap. Wow. I gotta give a real quick shout out to Steve who says, how is SummerSlam an afterthought? It's like WrestleMania. On paper, sir. Growing up, SummerSlam was my favorite event of all time. Highway to Hell, Heart and Soul, all that jazz. Seeing Brock Lesnar's ascendant to being with the guy. But you think about WrestleMania, the granddaddy of it all. And you think about Survivor Series, which I could argue has been an old concept they tried to reinvigorate with the bragging rights and then War Games. Hitting the Rumble being the biggest casual day in all of wrestling. I ask, what has SummerSlam have done? I mean, remember Payback there in 2020 when Roman Reigns came back the week after? It was a week after SummerSlam. Or the fact that it's in Cleveland now, surrounded by so many foreign PLEs where they're going to Berlin 3 weeks after that. That's all I'm saying is, that's all I'm saying. But it's your boy Flobo. I can rant about that all the time. We'll be back Monday night with Triple J on the flagship Monday Night Raw after show. That guy, Jimmy Korderas, will be there. So get your loonies and toonies out for that. Matt Koon makes me look like I'm a genius because he knows how to put me over, brother. I'm out. Catch you guys later. See ya.